shoulder pain, upper back pain, one of the worst, right? So that's one we want to address now. Everybody has to deal with it. The shoulder is a very complicated junction site, and most of the pain that we deal with is usually from this front deltoid trigger point area or the subscapularis one up under the armpit. Those are the top two places that cause most of the problems in our upper back and into our neck. So once again, we come to our little array of balls that we got to work with, and go to the fan favorite, lacrosse ball. It's the most standard density ball that you're going to hear people say to work with in any form of trigger point therapy. So for this, number one place to target is that front deltoid like I was talking about. You literally just lay straight on the ground, arm out, and you'll start here until you can handle the pain that it can cause if you have a pretty bad situation going on. And then you'll start just moving, little movements, and then work your way into big movements. You can roll side to side and kind of find just the right angle to hit your major cluster of trigger points. Because even though it's in this same region, it can be slightly off to the side depending on what it is that you did to yourself. Whatever sort of injury or repeated movement you've done in your work or whatever else. So now that front deltoid one is going to be the one that will alleviate all the tension on the upper back and into the neck. It even pulls on this front side of the neck here, so it can be massively contributing to any sort of jaw pain, TMJ, whatever. Even can cause, as it then causes the scalenes in the sternocleidomastoid muscle to tighten as well. That yanking that will do and pulling into here will pull on the inner ear and could cause all sorts of stuff from vertigo to tinnitus. So very weird, the array of symptoms that can be caused by trigger points, which is why it's most important to start with trigger point therapy for pretty much anything you're dealing with that is painful, because you never know how much they are contributing. And the best part is there's no negative side effects to going after them and treating them. It can only benefit, and it'll just be the surprise of most times of like, wow, I didn't realize that was contributing that much. It's at least a minor contributor, but most often pretty major contributor. So that'll be a key one. But now that other one that I was mentioning, that subscapularis one, pretty weird one to get to. It's right in the pit of the armpit, so you can get creative with a ball like this, and you may need a bigger size one, but right here, if you get just the right angle, it can work. But you can, again, just lay there and do nothing else. You can even like help it by just pressing into it with your hand as well, your opposing hand, and just pressing into the region and then moving your arm as much as you can while doing so. Great way to get at it. As that one tightens, it's the number one reason for any sort of tennis elbow or tinnitus is going on, because it's the muscle that's kind of giving that chicken wing action. And otherwise, also great to use something like a Back Buddy or Theracane or anything like that, because you can get creative with this and get it into some interesting places. Some people prefer this over anything else, but otherwise you can just do weird little postures with it that allow you to get to unusual places. But also, simple thing is using your hands. You can literally just sit forward and let your fingers go into that region, and now you can just move your arm through a range of motion while you're sitting there and moving it around. So many ways to get at it. Be creative, but the same rules always follow. Seek for that spot where it hurts the most, and then while pressing into it, don't go beyond a level 4 to 6, make it hurt so good, and then otherwise just breathe nice and slow through the nose to the bottom of the lungs and make your exhales longer than your inhales. That's the most important way to be breathing while you're doing this, so that you'll kick yourself out of fight or flight and allow the muscles to elongate so they can release and relax and let go, and let that blood flow come into that tissue once again. And so otherwise, explore when you're pushing on trigger points with every range of motion you can, especially range of motions that you maybe do while you're working over and over again, because that line of muscle that's used in that motion is the number one muscle that's going to be the most impacted. And whatever point in that whole kinetic chain that takes the most torque when you do that movement, that's going to be the site of your worst trigger point, right? So it all makes sense. Everything about it is intuitive. And you should just trust yourself and feel free to just play. None of it's very, very hard to hurt yourself. So don't, listen to yourself most importantly, but as long as you listen to your body, you don't go past that 6 or 7 on the pain level thing and just keep pushing into it mindlessly, thinking that more will be better. Don't do that, but as long as you don't do that, you're very unlikely to hurt yourself. If you are very unsure, consult your doctor or find a trigger point therapist like us that can help you in your area. But otherwise, as long as you got some good intuition with yourself and you're willing to explore and play and figure things out, you can pretty much undo most pains. So that front part of the body that we just mentioned is the most important site to target. But now secondarily, get to the back side of the body, and you can do that with whatever you want. We'll go for our lacrosse ball again so you can actually see it. But otherwise, just putting it underneath the medius part of the back, right in the trap, and then just elevating yourself on it if you can handle it at the time, and then working your way into other things. But otherwise, you just move around. Just find the area where it hurts the most, and then while you're there, now move through a range of motion. You can move slowly, you can move fast. Highly recommend going slower and working up from there. You can do it with, you can couple this with like resistance bands hooked to something for like a really light amount of pressure. That just helps various ways of breaking up that muscle tissue and helping to get blood flow into the area. But that's the key areas for alleviating pain in the overall upper back is that front deltoid, subscapularis. You'll have one in the medial head and rear head of the deltoid as well, and down the rhomboids. So whatever movements you do, target that area. And then on that upper back, literally anywhere, and you can do all of this against a wall, remember. How we also love putting any of these balls in a sock so that now you can flip over your shoulder and do it against a wall in a more controlled way, to where you can put, you can choose how much pressure you want to put on it as opposed to being on the ground, kind of have a set level of pressure. So that's the most important thing for alleviating everything in the upper shoulders and getting it all to loosen up. And like I said, the symptoms can be very diverse, from just constantly feeling tight up here, causing tension headaches after that, TMJ, tinnitus, whatever, all kinds of interesting things. So just overall, get the upper body to release through doing this trigger point therapy just for 2 to 5, 10 minutes at most every day. And you will be in a much better place within just a short period of time. And also highly recommend pairing it with just hanging of some sort. Just look that up and see what the benefits are of that, but just allowing that decompression of that joint is critical for upper body function and feeling healthy and well all the time and living without pain. So check it out, look into it, reach out if you have any other questions, and we'll be happy to help. Thank you so much. Have a great day.